everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel. I am here today with not a weekly update, but with a WIP parade, which is works in progress. And I'm also going to be doing a year in review, and I will be showing you all of my WIPs, and I will be showing you pictures of where I was at the beginning of the year on the ones that I had started before this year. And I will also obviously be showing where I am now and talking about how many pages I got finished on all of them, because at the beginning of the year, I had said that I wanted to try and finish 30 pages in the year because I was turning 30, and right now I have 29 pages finished, so I will be talking about how many pages I got finished on each project and which projects did not get page finished on them, which is kind of sad. And I will be doing all of this in chronological order, so I will be starting at my oldest WIPs and then going to my newest WIPs. So, starting off, my oldest WIP is Pinocchio Wishes Upon a Star by Thomas Kincaid. It's a kit by, I think, MCG Textiles, and they no longer make these kits, and it's part of their Disney Dream kits that they had out. And it's not my favorite WIP, so it did not get a lot of progress on it, and most of the progress that I made on it this year was because of magical stitches, and like sometimes it only fit, this project only fit. So I ended up finishing page 4 this year, which is page 4 is this page, and then I started the page up here at the top, and so that is where I am on this one. It's stitched on, I think it's 18 count Ada that the kit came with, and yeah, that's where I am. I don't love it, so I might actually put this project away for a while and just not even think about it and worry about stitching on it, because if I don't enjoy stitching it that much, why bother thinking that I need to? So there was that one, number 1. Finished 1 page on it. So my second oldest WIP is Terrell Town 2 by Ciro Marchetti, which I started in September of 2012, and it's stitched on 22 count Hardanger, 2/1 full cross, which is really thick. I do not recommend 2 strands of thread on 22 count. It's very thick. So on this one, I actually did not have any page finishes on it this year, but I did make a lot of progress on it because I used this one for Stitch Mania. I only worked on this project for Stitch Mania, and if you didn't see that, you will see what I did. So for Stitch Mania, I stitched how many? I can't remember how many pages. It was like over 11 pages, I think. I just worked on all the pages going around the outside of it. I don't know if you can fully see. So I stitched all down this side here, and I worked all the way down to the bottom of the chart. I stitched across the bottom of the chart. This fabric is huge because it's 22 count, and this is a big chart. And then I stitched all the way along the other side. So I have like the full outside border of this chart stitched, but it did not get any page finishes because I did not focus on any one page. I was just working all over the place. So there's that one. WIP number 2, and that was from 2012. And then you'll see here that there was like a big break in time where I didn't cross stitch, because the next WIP that I have to show is Mini Homas Where the Magic Is by Randall Spangler, and I started that on January 1st of 2018. So all of my other WIPs are from 2018 and up. So this one is being stitched on 28 count even weave 2/1 tent stitch. And the chart is only 12 pages because it's a mini, and I have 3 of them completed, but I finished them all before this year, so I have not had a page finish on it this year. And here's where I am. I just pulled this one out to work on it for December. I had not worked on it since I think the beginning of the year. And I decided that I was going to stitch this one cross country by color. So I've been focusing on this purple color, which there's some here. And it's almost all stitched, the purple. I think there's 400 stitches left to do, and then this color will be finished, and then I'll be moving on to the next color. So that's WIP number 3. So next is Eternal Promise. It's a supersize max color, and it's a max color chart, but in Heaven and Earth charts, it's not that many colors because it only uses 102 colors, I think, for the max color, and I think the regular is like 80 something colors, so it's not that many colors for max color. And let's see, I'm stitching it on 28 count Easy Guide 1/1 full cross. And on this one, how does it go? Okay. This, I finished the first page this year, and then I started working on page 2, and then after putting it on Pattern Keeper, I decided I was going to start working on it just kind of wherever I wanted to go, so I just started following the dark colors. And that is where I am on that. So that is WIP number 4. And then WIP number 5 is Far Pavilions by Amy Stewart. I started it in June of 2018. I am stitching it on 25 count Lugana 2/1 tent stitch, which tent stitch is what most of my full coverage projects are being stitched as. And on this one, I ended up getting 1 page finish. I think I only worked on it at the beginning of the year for Magical Stitches homework, so it did not get a lot of work on it, which after seeing that some of these charts didn't get worked on very much, I kind of want to focus on them more next year. So here's where I am on that. I am stitching this one. I started it on the right side, which is like partial pages, and I'm just stitching that row of partial pages down. And I think I'm almost at the bottom, hopefully, because my fabric is almost at the bottom. So there's that. And like I said, hopefully next year I can pull that one out more so it gets more progress. And then now we have a non-full coverage piece. So this one is Castles in the Air by Long Dog Samplers. I started it in December of 2018. I am stitching it on 18 count Huntress from Picture This Plus, 1/1 using Silks for You PR 053, which is a variegated thread. It's ecru and cream, so it's like a dark cream and then a lighter cream. So, and this year I finished, how many pages? I think 1 page. And there's where I am. I decided that for this chart I was going to stitch it down the left side and get to the bottom border, and then I want to stitch across the bottom and then go up the side and then go around and then do the middle page last. And I finished this year, it was page, whatever page is down here, I can't remember, what does it say? This was page 7, so I finished page 7 this year. And I think I also finished it for Magical Stitches homework, which is kind of like a trend that most of these things ended up getting pulled out because of Magical Stitches. And then next is another full coverage, Fantastic Voyage by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I started this one it was right before I was going to do no starts this year. And so on December 31st, I decided I would start a chart before I went into a year of no starts, but then obviously I started stuff this year and I broke no starts. So I started it December 31st, 2018. It's on 28 count easy count, 2/1 tent stitch, and I stitched 3 pages on it this year. And more big fabric. That's one thing is with these big fabrics, you have to find where your stitching actually is. And there's a thread. So I finished 3 partial pages. I started on the bottom and decided I would do the border on this one and work my way up. I got tired of working on the border though, and so I ended up jumping to this page so that I could do something other than border. So there's that. And this is one of the Amy Stewart bookshelves. And in the semi-sane stitchers group, they're actually having an event next year called, what's it called? What's Your Shelf Life? And it's for all of Amy Stewart's bookshelves, so you could be doing the new Once Upon a Fairy Tale, Fantastic Voyage, World Travel bookshelf, the Stitching shelf, the fairy, what's the other shelf she had that was the first one? I can't remember. But yeah, so What's Your Shelf Life? Semi-sane stitchers, join, participate. So that was number 7. Number 8 is Christmas Village Stitch Along by Tiny Modernist. This was the chart where I broke my new starts, and that was in August of 2019, so this year. And I'm stitching it on 18 count Herald from Picture This Plus, 1/1 full cross. And I am still working on part 3, which means that I'm still not working on part 4. And the way that I'm counting this for page finishes is I am counting each part as a page finish. So part 1 was a page finish, part 2 was a page finish, and part 3 will be a page finish. And then once I finish part 4, that will be considered a page finish. So there's that. I need to finish this. I wanted to get it done before the end of the year, but it's not looking like that's going to happen. We'll see. So That was 8. Number 9 is Templar Prophecy by Long Dog Samplers. I started it September 4th, 2019. It's on 22 count hardanger that I dyed myself, 1/1 using DMC 666. So I finished one page on that this year, and that was page 1, and so that's where I am now, still working on page 2. I did not get very much done on it in the last week, which you will probably see, so there's that. Number 10 is, it's technically called GOT, but it's Game of Thrones by Tilton Crafts. I started it October 2nd, 2019, and I am stitching it on 28 count even weave, 1/1 full cross. Yes. And here's where I am on this. I am stitching this one diagonally using 10 stitch wide diagonals on Pattern Keeper. Yes, so you've seen this one recently. This is no surprise. Some of the older ones you might not have seen if you are newer to the channel. And then project number 11 is Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a chart from Etsy. And I started it October 11th, 2019 on 22 count hardanger, 2/1 full cross, just using the black floss that it called for. And that is where I got to. I only worked on it in October for a little bit, and then I put it away and we'll work on it next year because I don't have very much Halloween stuff, and this is as close to Halloween as I will probably stitch. So I will save that for next year. Then number 12 is Sailor Moon by Daniel Kordek, which is a Tilton Crafts chart. And I started it November 11th, 2019, and it's on 28 count even weave, 2/1 10 stitch. And these ones don't have page finishes yet on them because they are newer charts and I have not worked on them long enough to have page finishes. And that is where I got to working on her. I think I worked on her 6 days since I started her. And yeah, so there's Sailor Moon. And then number 13, Dear Alice by Artisy. I started it November 14th because I started 2 charts that week, and I'm stitching it on 18 count Ada, and I'm stitching it 2/1 full cross. And this is one where I decided I was going to stitch it extreme cross country, starting with the black because the black had the most amount of stitches. And so here I am working on the bottom corner because the bottom corner had the most black. There was less black at the top because the top is mostly green. So there's that. And now number 14, which is the last one, is Kita from Pinky the Pink on Etsy. It's artwork by Hannah Alexander, and I am stitching it on 28 count even weave, 2/1 full cross. Here she is. And I started this one, when did I start it? November? I didn't write down the day for some reason. So last one. There's Kita. That will be her leg. So like this is like her hip area. Last one, number 14. I was hoping that I could get down to 13 whips by the end of the year if I had finished Tiny Modernist, but it does not. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. And then obviously on January 1st, I'll be starting Once Upon a Fairy Tale because everyone's starting at January 1st. And so because this is also a year in review, I'm going to include my 2 finishes because that was where most of my page finishes were this year, were on the 2 projects that I focused on to finish this year. So the first project that I finished this year was Death by Cross Stitch by Long Dog Samplers. And I started it in, I think, September of 2017. And I finished it, I think I don't remember what month it was, but I finished it this year. And I had actually only finished, I think, 6 pages at the beginning of the year. And so I still had 10 pages left, I think, because I think the chart was 16 pages. And I did 10 pages this year. So here is Death by Cross Stitch. I think it was stitched using Silks for You in PR 094, and I stitched it 1/1 full cross on 18 count, and I made it Game of Thrones themed with my dire wolf in the center, and then I have dragons for Targaryens, stags for Baratheons, and Lannister lions. So there's that. Like I said, that had 10 pages finished on it this year. And then my other finish, which was just recently, was the toy box, which had been started in 2012, and then I finished it in October 2019, just a couple months ago. And I finished 8 pages on the toy box this year. So the toy box finished. I still have not framed anything because I am one of those people where I stitch things and finish them, and that's as far as it goes. Except for Christmas things. I apparently finished Christmas things because I stitched that this year and I finished it as a canvas. I did that last year and I finished that. I finished the Santa. That was Christmas presents, a stitch along from Heaven and Earth Designs, and I framed that one. And I did a Christmas cross stitch that I finished as a pillow. So apparently I will finish things if they are Christmas themed. If you're not Christmas themed, apparently I just put you in an envelope and leave you alone. But yeah, so that's my WIP parade. 14 WIPs. It's crazy. I was supposed to get less WIPs this year and do no starts, but apparently that didn't happen, and I'll be starting Once Upon a Fairy Tale at the beginning of the year. So I hope everyone enjoyed. I hope to see more WIP parades or year-end reviews coming soon from other people, and I will see you all in my next video, which will be another weekly update. So I will see you all next week. Bye, everyone.